This particular location is on a corner. It does have an 80-foot right-of-way, which means that 40 feet either side of the center line is held for the city to use for utilities and other kinds of easements that may be necessary. The owner of the property still has the enjoyment of that as well as the right to maintain it. However, the city has the right to go in and use the ground below in the event we need to repair a water line or setback. Generally, what does happen is that owners are then not allowed to build something that is permanent, or in this case, semi-permanent, over that right-of-way area. And what the applicant is requesting is to install a picket fence that would go into his half of the 80-foot right-of-way. Okay, and so the request is for a variance to build in that area, and I believe most of you have probably driven by and taken a look at it, which I strongly encourage all of you to do on every particular item, is to put eyes on the property. So, sir, if you have comments on that, we'd love to hear.
We are one of 5 fences on our street that are within that 40-foot section. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that the rule's there for a reason, and I want to honor that if need be, but I feel like we're not in the way of anything, and we're not the only ones in that setback. So that's all I have.
At this point in time, if you have questions, this would be the time to ask them. If not, you may request a motion to approve or deny the applicant's request for a variance.
But I have one question.
Yeah.
If the city did need to use some of that property for a water line or for whatever,
Yeah.
do you have an issue pulling up the fence
No.
at your expense?
No, we understood. Jim Fish came out and talked to us when we were building it, after we had set posts and everything, and kind of explained that if we were approved by you all, that would be on us if the city needed it for anything.
There you go.
Okay. I'd like to move that we approve the variance. I've seen the fence, you did a great job on it. It makes sense. The 80 foot puts you back at those trees, and that's
Yeah.
not much yard at all, so.
Yeah.
I agree with what you've said, is that, if the city, we're not saying, you haven't given up the easement.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
as long as it's worded so that if the city needs access to the easement, that they'll take the fence down.
That's standard in a variance.
Okay.
It's revocable. And Mr. Chairman, I would need a motion and a second to be made by someone other than yourself.
I second that motion. I motion that we approve.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Thornbrew and second by Bothroyd. Okay, I need you to respond either yes or no on voting. Chairman Ladd?
Yes.
Owens is not here. Thornbrew? Bothroyd? And
Yes.
O'Neill?
Yes.
Very good. The variance is approved.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations, Mr. Moore.
It does look good, by the way.
I'll say it's a good-looking fence.
You don't want to stay for the rest of our exciting meeting? We release you. Well done.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, would you like me to go through some of these with you?
Yes, well, the next one is on Pine.
That is correct.
Okay.
In this particular situation, this is a variance on South Pine. The applicants are Michael and Sarah Gellenbeck. I'll go through and take a look at the action here with you. The owners are requesting a variance to the 300-foot rule that is written in Ordinance 3220 regarding connection to utility systems. It was on that particular ordinance, which passed on June 7th of 2001, it was amended such that in a prior time, if your connection at your house was within 300 feet of an existing city utility line, meaning water or sewer, you were required to hook up. The ordinance was changed in 2011, which required that if your property line was within 300 feet, then you are required to hook up. Mr. Gellenbeck has recently acquired a 10-acre lot just on the west side of Pine Street, and Mr. Gellenbeck and Mrs. Gellenbeck are here tonight so they can answer questions as well. Their property is a long, narrow rectangle with the property, with the house location on the property approximately 700 feet back from Pine Street. Mr. Gellenbeck is requesting that he be allowed to drill a well rather than having to run a water line 700 feet back to his home in that area. The sewer line, however, rather than being on Pine Street, runs semi-diagonally across his property such that he could connect to that. He is requesting the variance such that he be allowed to drill the water well. The area, while it is within the city, is zoned A2, which is an agricultural property. Mr. Gillenbeck, have I fairly described it?
Sounds good.
Sweet, okay. If you have anything else you would like to bring forth before the commission?
Okay. I appreciate your help on this and you hearing our case. We like Guthrie here, and we are willing and more than happy to pay what we need to pay for utilities. My main concern was we like agricultural and gardening and cows, and we didn't want to have all of that tied to city water just because of the expense. And also, since it's zoned agriculture, I could have a well for that purpose, but not for my house. And so my request is that you can either exempt me totally from all utilities or have metered usage from my well to my house only and not to my barn and garden and things. I don't know if that's something y'all could consider, or the other option would be to just have an average monthly rate comparable to the same size of square footage house that I'm building. So I have three options there: opting out completely, metering my usage, or an average usage. Whatever y'all decide, I would be fine with. And if y'all consider that this isn't valid, we'll work with that too. Let's see, 700 feet. My house is about 650. I'd have to run about 700 feet of line, bore into the road. It would cost me a couple $1,000s more to hook into city water than it would be to drill a well. So if I drill a well and water, I'm looking at over $10,000, which is some savings I'd like to save.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. On the sewer aspect of it, I checked with our finance director regarding the calculation, and I know you had put down several options there for sewer, and the city does have an already existing procedure for customers who don't have water but do have sewer.
Okay.
And since that's already in place, we can enact that provision.
That-
Should make life easier.
I'd like to talk a little bit, what's your preference?
Well,
In a perfect world, I mean,
in
what
a
do you want to
perfect
say?
world, I would consider just opting out completely. But my next best option would be just the tying into the sewer and having a rate worked out where I just use sewer and no water.
Where, I didn't get a chance to go by the property. Where,
Okay.
I know it's on Pine, how far, can you tell me where on Pine?
Yeah, it's just to the west of Pine. I have 250 feet along Pine, and then my property extends back 800 feet, and the west side is about 700 feet. So it's a triangular shaped piece, and it runs, the north boundary runs along Snake Creek.
Okay.
It's almost right behind the airport. Pretty
Oh, wow.
close to right
Okay.
behind there.
So you're kind of,
There's land back behind the airport, and that's one of the parcels back
you
there.
pretty, are you pretty much on the edge of the city limits, do we know, or?
No,
He's in
if you know
12.
where University is, okay, he's about 900 feet south of University.
My brother and I bought 110 acres there, and I have a 10-acre parcel in that.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a recommendation?
Yes.
All right, so what I would recommend is that we allow him to opt out completely, and he drills his own well and does his own septic, as long as it's an aerobic septic, and as long as he pays the trash, which is, there's a monthly fee on the trash, and that should work.
One question I do have, I didn't realize y'all had anything set in place before this meeting about sewer only. What would be a rate for that?
The sewer only be 1578, and it might be better for you to go into the sewer
1578
Per month.
per month.
That would, I
Yeah.
would rather.
It might be
I-
better, but you'd have to not use it for industrial
Right.
Yeah.
or agricultural.
Commissioner Bothroyd, I believe there are some additional fees on top of that. For example, the CMOM fee,
There
which,
is an $8 CMOM.
that is correct. So it
Right.
would probably end up being a little bit closer to around $30 a month, is an approximate figure, but that might give you an idea.
Well, I think the CMOM fee only applies if you connect to water, right?
The CMOM fee, though, does affect the sewer lines and maintaining that, so that should be applicable in this case.
That sounds like my first choice then.
Okay,
Yeah.
Is there a one-time hookup fee for water or sewer?
there is a tap fee that is called for in that as well. The tap fee is around $500
On each or both together?
each. The water line could conceivably be different if a bore is required, if we'd have to go under, and I think that would be the case in the water, but not in the sewer.
No.
Any other discussion? Thoughts?
So what do you want to do?
I would
Well-
like to tap into the sewer and just have my own water well.
Okay, and we can do that. I'm wondering, though, if you want to leave the option, we could propose that you opt out completely, and then if you find out it's more cost-effective to tie into the sewer, you could always do that. That's an option. You don't need a variance. But if you decided after this meeting that you wanted to opt out of the sewer, you'd have to go through this whole procedure, pay all the fees again and everything else. So I would prefer to give you the option if the board agrees with that, and then you can do all the math and calculations, because I hate to have you find out that trenching that sewer line is going to be more expensive than doing the aerobic system. So
Yeah. Okay.
can we, is that, I mean.
You're the
I might-
chair.
I know, but then when I made a motion, you said I can't make motions. I do not know the rules. I'm playing a game that I didn't get the rule book yet. And for those watching, you have to understand, Carrie's not here, and Carrie and I are the only previous board members, so we had, all of a sudden, I'm the only familiar face on the board, and we have 3 new people who we should have introduce themselves, but, so,
We'll do that now.
this is new. I'm used to making motions. Can I make a motion, or how does, no?
You
I would-
call,
I
you
would
call for a motion.
I'll motion.
To,
I'm going to motion that you can either opt out of the sewer, you can do your own well, or you can tap into
sewer.
I mean, you can, yeah, you can tap
Okay.
into the sewer if you want.
Commissioner Bothroyd, the request at hand is for a variance so that he can build a water well and not tie into the city water line.
Okay, I thought it was
Oh,
for
I
the
thought it was-
sewer as well.
It
I
is
did
for the
too.
sewer as well.
I make a motion that they be able to opt out of the city water and drill their own well.
I second it.
Okay, can we have a, so
Now I'll make a motion
Is-
that he can opt out of,
is this,
We already have a motion on the floor.
okay.
okay, is there something in here about sewer, though? I thought,
Yes.
this was water and sewer. Okay.
This is water and sewer. The motion on the floor right now is to grant the variance on the water, allowing Mr. Gillenbeck to drill his own water well and to give him the option of what sewer service he would want using the predetermined city billing system for an individual who does not have city water but does have city sewer.
Yes. I did.
Okay,
we
so
can
that's
take
the
that to a
motion.
vote. That makes
I
sense.
have a motion, I need a second.
I'll second
You can.
that.
No,
I'll second.
I don't like being chairman at all. This takes all the fun out of it.
You don't get to do anything.
okay. And Commissioner Bothroyd seconded, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we need votes here. Chairman Ladd,
Yes.
Commissioner Thornbrew,
Yes.
Commissioner Bothroyd,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Yes.
Okay. It is approved. Mr. Gillenbeck, you want to stop by the office tomorrow? We'll work out all the details.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You go help him dig those lines, Renee?
No. My jazzy only goes so far.
Congratulations on it. Good job, though.
Have fun out there. It's a nice little piece of property.
And our
don't have any more.
third and final item, is that correct?
That is correct. Our third item is a public hearing for the second phase of Silent Harvest Homes. This area is zoned agricultural, and that type of agricultural, A2, is actually an urban setting that is a transition between regular higher density and then the more agricultural type of environment. With that, the density is set low at 22,000 square feet per lot. When they came through with Phase 1, which has already been built and approved, or approved and built, I should say, the Board of Adjustment at that time agreed and granted a variance to allow the density to be at 6,000 square feet per lot, which is the typical standard size of a residential lot throughout the city of Guthrie. So that variance allowed them to build in a regular manner. In addition to that, the Board the Board of Adjustment granted Phase 1 of Silent Harvest a variance on the front yard setback from 25 feet, moving it forward to 15 feet. These homes are basically a rent-to-own situation, usually for first-time or elderly. The request for Phase 2 of Silent Harvest, they are asking for the same variance as was offered to them before.
Can I ask a question? Or does he have to do something?
No,
Okay.
open for discussion.
I would like to ask, I don't know the process, but have they applied for the R1 zoning? I mean,
No.
can that be rezoned to R1, that area, or how does that work?
Going through and changing the zoning is, how shall I say, it is a little more detailed in that. Their request was not to do that, but rather to keep it in in the more agricultural area. This property, this tract of land is immediately east of Silver Valley off of 19th and, help me here, Oklahoma. Okay, so no, that was not the request for this. I would like it makes a clearer cut if we are able to maintain similar types of land in the area. I believe across the street, it is zoned in an R1, if memory serves me correctly. But the use, if you consider the use, is predominantly use as residential, especially with Silver Valley, which this property will abut. And it also, Silver Valley also has the 6,000 square foot minimum requirement,
Is it
as
still-
this will.
Okay, is it still A2? Is it zoned A2, Silver Valley?
I do not believe so.
Well, see, the point is that when you define your land uses, and this being agricultural, the functions and uses that are allowed for that zoning are enumerated in residential homes R1. So you could have single-family homes in an R1 zoning, or it can be accommodated in an A2 zoning. So the rezoning would kind of be not worth the effort at this point.
Yeah.
You can build homes in an A, I think it's an A1, isn't it? A2 is farmland, A1 is rural areas that we anticipate will develop in the near future.
Right.
Thank you.
I'll share that I was on the board for the first installment of this, Phase 1, and struggled with it because it seemed like that was an awful small lot, but you guys have done a great job. It looks good out there. I guess that's not, but, so I think that they've done a great job on Phase 1, and so I think Phase 2 is reasonable. So
Right.
it's a lot easier when you can actually drive it and see it than look on the plot map. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for variance.
And can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Ladd,
Yes.
Commissioner Thornbrew,
No.
Commissioner Bothroyd,
Yes.
and Commissioner O'Neill.
Yes.
Okay, motion is approved at 3-1.
We should have had some discussion.
Thank you.
You had something to share? Did you want to share?
My question was answered about the rezoning, and I just see it being a very dense,
Yeah.
and what are they gonna do with it being an A2 zoning? I mean, the A2 zoning with that much density, what kind of things are gonna happen on that property?
Right.
Okay.
With it being an A2 type zoning, so that was my only wonder.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, since,
In all residential areas, since the motion is now completed and final, and we're being a little more lax since this is a first
Because we're
time.
learning.
Because you're learning. All areas within the city of Guthrie that are zoned residential have a minimum lot size of 6,000.
Right.
So this is no more dense than any place else that is zoned R1 in terms of the requirement.
I just saw that it was from, Salt Lake City? The
Yes.
developer, so I'm thinking smaller lots, more money,
Yeah.
more, he's,
but he's making it
so I'm
affordable.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to make it affordable.
Have we built anything on it yet?
Yeah, half the
Yes.
development's
'Cause I haven't
already
been out
built.
there yet, so I'm
Yeah,
just-
half the developments, and that's why I say it was.
there any
It was
structures on it
hard to
yet?
approve it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they've
On
built-
Phase 1
they've
is
built,
complete.
I think it's 60 out there.
Yeah,
On Phase
Is
1,
it?
yeah.
There's nothing on Phase 2 yet, though.
So,
Yeah.
but if I could, for the Board of Adjustment, welcome, and I apologize, this whole chairman thing I had
You're
2
doing
minutes-
great.
2 minutes to prepare for it. Thank you, Mayor, for helping me out so many times tonight. But I'm believing Carrie's going to be our chairperson, next person, but if we ever go to a vote and we haven't had a discussion, please say, I would like to have a discussion first, because I would, wanted you to be able to voice that before we voted, because you could have had something that everybody else needed to hear, and it would have changed votes, and so.
Right.
Always,
Okay, I'll remember
always,
that.
yeah, if there's something you want to voice, you guys, please bring it forward, because that's why you're here, so we get the input of, the Bible says that in the multitude of counselors is wisdom, and that's what we want to bring for Guthrie, so. But
Okay.
thank you for volunteering and coming to
Right.
the meeting, signing up, doing all, the background checks and all the stuff Renee did on us. So thank you for
Okay.
doing it.
And just for the viewing audience, our three new members going towards the south there, not Jim, because he's always been here. Sorry about that. First one is Michael O'Neill, Lori Thornbrew, and Brian Bothroyd. Got it all. So
And
we
were any
welcome
of
them.
you warned that it was going to be filmed tonight? See? Okay, okay, that was new.
Okay. Well, along that line, there's an item that I would like to go over, and that's about open meetings. So consider this as a crash course in open meetings. There is some information in your book, but I have located some additional information that's a little bit easier to read than standard state law. This is a printout from a presentation, and I had oh, yes, here it is. We follow, because it is state law, an act in the Oklahoma statutes called the Open Meeting Act, and the purpose of that act is to make sure that the public has access to not only to city council, but to any board or commission or public group that gets together that conducts business on the behalf of the city. Citizens have the right to know what's going on and to be heard. And since it's public policy of the state, we have to follow it. And the key word here is transparency. People need to know what's going on. They need to know that there's nothing occurring outside of what they see, that there are no decisions made before you all get here. This board is a board of 5. 3 of you constitute a quorum. So whenever 3 or more are gathered, that is considered to be a meeting. If there is a meeting, if 3 or more of you get together, then an agenda must be posted. An agenda has to be posted at least 24 hours in advance. We usually try to do it 48 hours in advance. Also, the city, in terms of it being held in public, realize not everybody can come here, so we do televise the meetings. They are, in this case, going out live, but after today, the 19th of June, they will be on tape and can be viewed off the city website at cityofguthrie.com. Let me see.
From my standpoint, I hope no one does that, because this was an embarrassment.
You'd be surprised how many people go back and do it. I've had people tell me they couldn't sleep, so they turned it on late. And Renee, I saw you, and then I went to sleep. But again, it's transparent and so on. Now, that's, considering holding a meeting applies not only to 3 of you minimum being here, but communicating via email. If 3 of you communicate via email in the same email, that is considered to be a meeting. You may not do that, okay? If you have something that wants to be communicated, please send it. Please send it to me. Know that, again, that this is a state statute. People can bring suit. That could be a $500 fine, and if it's exceedingly can't think of the word right now, we'll say vagrant, thank you. It could bring you time in jail, and we don't want to do that. And so I try very hard to make sure that we follow this. So when I say you can't do that because, know why, because I don't want to go to jail. Okay.
Now, we're okay to be in the same, like if we walk into the stables and we see one of the other, as long as we're not together, we're okay,
Somebody's
right?
gonna go home hungry.
We don't have to
No.
leave, right? We
No,
can eat?
no, you don't. Make it exceedingly obvious that you are not discussing
Well, what if we're
anything.
sitting like way far away from each
No,
other?
that's fine,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
The other one has to pay for the other one's meal. That's the only requirement.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going through the highlights of this so that you know. And in terms of email, never hit reply to all on things that I send you, because I send you the packets, or Shelby Lewis does, via email. When you respond back to me saying, I have a question on this, don't hit reply to all, because like I said, that would constitute the five of you communicating with one another. Okay? That's exceedingly,
Can I just point out the ludicrousy of that? I mean, if we're trying to find a date, and we say, hey, does July 12th work? And everybody replies all,
let me worry about it. How's that? That just keeps it easy. At any rate, take a look at these. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, let's talk about if we contact one-on-one.
Oh, okay, that's
I
fine.
understand the contacting in a quorum situation, 3 or more,
Right.
but one-on-one
You bet.
is just fine.
You can-
So if I'm
you
at a
can-
restaurant and you show up at a restaurant, there's no reason we can't sit and talk.
Okay,
That is correct.
okay.
So you don't have to stay away.
Right,
We'll
because
have to pay for the meal,
I
right?
still have to pay
you
for
still have to pay for meal.
Because
The
I'm
I-
dying, I always do that anyway.
Right. Ooh, okay. The idea, though, is if it's 3, then you have a quorum. If you have a quorum,
Right.
business
Meeting.
conceivably could be conducted, and oh my gosh, is your agenda posted? So you just don't want to get 3 of you talking business at all.
Just don't want to go.
Okay, okay. Now, also, we had a discussion earlier about going to property. I really want to make it clear that if at all possible, and the car's not broken down and all those things, that you drive by the property in question and take a look at it to see what's going on. I would strongly suggest that you do not get out and walk on the property. You do not want to be accused of trespass, but take a look.
Can we get the agenda any earlier? There's no way, because, I mean, by the time I was able to print it and know what it was, I didn't have time to go out and look at it.
Okay.
This is within 48 hours, right? Is what you
Right,
said?
right, usually 48 hours, because, well, I'm trying to, for example, our city council agenda goes out on a business day, Friday afternoon, for the meeting on Tuesday. So we try to do a 48-hour turnaround.
Oh, so we-
You guys meet on Thursday, and,
Because if we had the weekend, that would,
yeah,
there's just not, sometimes, especially with the
We-
winter time coming on and getting dark so soon, if you don't get home until it's dark,
Yeah.
then there's really no way to, with no weekend in between them, to check things out.
yeah.
So,
Well, usually we do know, most of the times when there are matters related to both Board of Adjustment and planning, people, the neighbors usually are notified 30 days in advance. And so we work that in, we can, let you know there is a possibility of this pending. That may be something that we take a look at. Also, do know that we set our meeting times, on whatever this is, the third Thursday of each month, and that has to be set in stone beginning in January. We do not have a meeting if no one has submitted a request for a hearing. There's, no
and
reason.
we've gone a year between meetings, I think.
There've been sometimes, but I can foretell it's starting to pick up substantially.
Wow.
Yes,
Excitement. Okay.
so.
That's good news.
Yes, it is. It is very good news, very good news. So, if you have questions regarding a particular item, please call me. I strongly urge that not each one of you contact the applicant. Mr. Gillenbeck, for example, would not have appreciated 5 of you calling him to say, how far is and him having to repeat that each time. So if you have a question about something, give me give me a call, and I'll work that out and send all the information to all of you at the same time if we haven't included it in the packet. You
Sarah
all-
was very nice on the phone when I called her, so I appreciate it, Sarah.
Okay. Okay.
There's a time constraint on that, though, so if you're compiling all of our questions,
Mm-hmm.
and we're getting notified 48 hours before the meeting, so then we give you our questions, then you have to get answers, and then you have to get back to us, but you have to do it separately, so we don't have contact.
I could notify you
Okay.
She can
with,
notify all of us, we just can't reply all.
that is correct. Brian's got it.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
We do try to do a quick turnaround, believe it or not. Okay. At this point, I ask for any comments from the commission? And then at this point, if you would choose to make a motion to adjourn, you can go through
I
it.
would like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Very good.
I second it.
Done.